My friend, I know what you're going through. Our members have to deal with the racist and obscene policies of this government, and you have to help the people that this government wants to try and get out of the country. I just want to show in particular solidarity to you and the colleagues who do your work, because you are being demonised, you're being made to be the cause of the problems, just like migrants are. The government keep going on about immigration lawyers. They're the problem. Human Rights Act, that's the problem. That isn't the problem. This is just rhetoric from the government trying to divide, pick on a community or a group of people so we don't notice what their true agenda is. Enriching the filthy rich, cuts to public services. I'll bring you solidarity from the PCS, for all those that are in strikes, getting ready for strikes, balloting for strikes. Respect to you all. We're almost there and we're getting ready and we are striking, and I'll talk about that shortly. A lot of people might think, civil servants, what have they got to complain about? They've got salaried jobs, pensions, but the civil service is a shadow of its former self. We used to be held up as the example of how a civil service should be. But government cuts have left us on life support. We've been cut to the bone. In my own department, things like customs officers trying to stop Class A drugs, weapons, knuckle dusters, things that cause harm from coming into the country, can't do that work because they're sat at passport control, making sure passengers don't have to wait too long in the queue because there's just not enough of us. It's a similar picture across the whole of the civil service. But it is our members who have to carry the can for these Tory and the Tory despicable agenda, which is increasingly right-wing. If we're not careful, if we don't stand up to it, we're going to end up in a fascist country. None of us want that. It's frightening. They're taking away our rights to protest. They're doing, the way they're treating migrants is obscene. We need to stand together. Now, PCS has not stood idly by. Tracy's mentioned Rwanda. We took the government to court, and yes, the outcome on the face of it didn't sound too good for us today. But when you think about it, those 8 migrants that Tracy talked about, they can't be sent to Rwanda. Each individual case now has to be judged on its own merits. So rather than when our members are down at on the south coast, well, and excuse the expression, but this is how it feels to me, scooping up those off the boat, shoving on a plane, send them off to Rwanda, they won't be able to do that. And how much money has this government spent so far? £140 million given to Rwandan government. And how much, the judge, I think he said something about no more than 200 people will be able to be removed. What's this really all about? Now, hopefully, with the PCS pursuing legal action, others pursuing legal action, the problems with the asylum system itself, nothing's going to happen. There'll be a new government by the time, before anything really can happen with this. So we've taken the fight to the government. It's not just that, it's the pushback scheme. Now, for those that you don't know, they wanted our members to be trained on jet skis, to go out onto the coast and to push, seriously, and the Home Secretary bought some and started doing the training, to push the dinghies back out to sea, but not just jet skis. We have 42-metre long cutters. They look like naval ships because that's effectively what they are. They want to use those as well. But what was this policy about? One, it was to look tough, but the actual risk to life was real. You've seen the pictures of people who died recently on some of these dinghies. They're fragile things. They wanted us to push them out. Our members stood up to it. We took them to court, and at the 11th hour, the government backed down because they realised it just couldn't possibly invoke that policy. You've heard about Manston, which is a detention centre in Kent. It's designed to, when the small boats come in, they're taken to Manston, and within 24 hours the processing starts, then they go off to accommodation. That's all it was intended for. But up to 4,000 migrants were being kept there. Some 32 days in no more than a tent. There was ill health. Somebody died through diphtheria. PCS is taking them to court about that. There's risk to our members, there's risk to the migrants that we're there to actually protect. So hopefully that will have an effect as well. And I've talked to some of the cutter crews who have to go out. They don't see their role as enforcement, they see it as a life-saving role. They're actually fighting the government themselves. So not only is it the union that's taking on, members themselves are talking to the bosses in the Home Office about some of the crazy things, horrible, obscene things that the government wants us to do. Well, let's have a look at some more of the problems. The asylum system. Look, today there's over 100,000 cases that need reviewing. Why is that? And it's cut 12 long years of Tory austerity. I mentioned earlier the lack of work in customs. 12 long years of Tory austerity. But it's not just the policies that we're fighting against. We're demanding a 10% pay rise. We're demanding a stop to the cuts to our redundancy scheme called the Civil Service Compensation Scheme. And we're overpaying 2% in our pension each month, and the government refused to give it us back. So, mild-mannered, compliance and tolerant civil servants, with a few exceptions, Tracy and myself, they're getting angry. 2019 we balloted and didn't quite get over the threshold. This year we've done it again. And in 120 of the government departments we've smashed the threshold and strike action is starting. We have members on strike, the driving examiners, the Rural Payments Agency, the Highways Agency, the DWP, the Ministry of Justice and the Disclosure and Barring Service. And from Friday, members in the Border Force are stepping up to be counted. At Heathrow, at Gatwick, at Manchester, at Glasgow, at Cardiff and at our own Birmingham Airport, our members are going to walk out for 6 days over the Christmas period. We'll have a picket at Birmingham Airport. It's difficult to picket there because it's private property and the airport won't allow us to picket. But there's a spot at the main island as you go into the airport called Bird Island. We'll have pickets there on Friday from 12 till 4 o'clock. Banners, flags, trying to get ourselves noticed, hopefully the media. So if anyone is in the area, drive by, honk the horn, anything you can do to help our members on this difficult day of action. It has. Well, I don't mind. I'll shout. I've almost finished.
We can hear you. Come on.
Hello. Hello. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to finish on this really. Some stats about our members, and this will be, I'm sure, replicated across all trade unions. 85% of our members are telling us they're so worried about the cost of living crisis, it's causing them mental health problems. 37%, over a third of civil servants are looking to leave the service. 10% of our staff, including those that administer in-work benefits and the universal credits, are claiming in-work benefits, and the most shameful, I think, of all the stats, 8% of civil servants are having to use food banks. We are employed by the government. They want us to carry out their work. They're prepared to throw money at their donors for PPE schemes without any recourse when things don't happen. But their own workforce, they'll give no more than 2% and happy to see them go to the food bank. But please, remember, we've got a fight on our hands. It's already started. The Tory government and their right-wing press are already sowing the seed, or trying to sow the seed of doubt to RMT members, to other strikers, about they won't win. Mick Lynch
Mick Grinch, as they like to call him, is being demonised, and it will happen to us all, but we have got to stick together. Together we're stronger, together we'll win, and not only will we get better pay and better conditions for our members, but we'll get rid of this government. They've got to go. So thank you everyone, and solidarity.